Hello everyone and welcome to my YNRCBS Daily Update channel. Nikki smashes a mirror after realizing she's still blind. The hospital garden appeared peaceful beneath the pale morning light, but inside Nikki Newman a war was raging. She sat quietly in the wheelchair as Victor stood behind her, one protective hand resting on her shoulder. She could hear the rustling trees, the distant footsteps of nurses, and the soft movement of water from the fountain nearby. Every sound painted a picture she could no longer see. For a few minutes neither of them spoke. Then Nikki broke the silence. "Victor, promise me something. You know I will. Don't treat me as if I'm made of glass." Victor's hand tightened slightly on her shoulder. "You have been through hell. That doesn't make me helpless. I never said you were. You didn't have to." Her words struck him harder than she intended. Nikki turned her face toward his voice. "I know you love me. I know you want to protect me, but I can feel everyone moving around me like I'm going to fall apart." Victor walked around and knelt in front of her. "You smashed a mirror yesterday. I know, you nearly stepped into broken glass. I know that too, and you expect me not to worry." "No," Nikki replied quietly. "I expect you to believe I can survive this." Victor stared at her. Even without sight, Nikki could still sense his hesitation. "Say it," she demanded. "You can survive anything," he said. "That's better." For the first time that morning she smiled. It did not last long. A loud crash erupted from inside the hospital. Victor immediately stood. Nikki gripped the arms of her wheelchair. "What was that?" "I don't know." The hospital alarm began to sound. Doctors and nurses rushed toward the West Wing while security guards ordered visitors to stay where they were. Victor reached for his phone. Before he could make a call, Nick appeared through the garden doors. "Dad, we need to move." "Mom." Victor's face hardened. "What happened?" "Someone triggered a fire alarm near the records department." Nikki heard the fear in Nick's voice. "That wasn't an accident, was it?" Nick didn't answer quickly enough. Nikki's breathing changed. "Tell me." "We think someone entered the hospital under the evacuation protocol." Victor took control immediately. "Get her upstairs to the private wing." "No." Both men looked at Nikki. She repeated herself. "No, I'm done being moved around while everyone else decides what I'm allowed to know." "Nikki, I was the target. I deserve the truth." Nick knelt beside her. "Mom, Claire found proof that someone altered your medication." Nikki's face went still. "What? The drug may have delayed your neurological recovery." "Delayed? That means the blindness may not be permanent." Hope flashed through her, but she immediately forced it down. She had been disappointed too many times. "Who did it? We don't know yet." Nikki turned toward Victor. "But you have suspects." Victor remained silent. "Victor?" "Yes," he admitted. "Who?" Before he could answer, the hospital lights went out. The alarm stopped. The garden fell into an unnatural silence. Nikki heard the security doors lock automatically behind them. Nick reached for his phone, but there was no signal. "This is coordinated," he said. A second later, someone stepped from behind the garden wall. Victor moved in front of Nikki. Stranger wore hospital scrubs, a surgical mask, and dark glasses. "Stay where you are," Victor warned. The intruder raised a weapon. Nikki heard the click. Her entire body froze. "Victor, it's all right," he said, although nothing was all right. The intruder spoke through a voice modifier. "Move away from her." Victor didn't move. "You made a serious mistake coming after my wife." The stranger laughed. "No, Victor, your mistake was believing this was about Nikki." Nick positioned himself closer to the attacker. "Then who is it about you?" The attacker pointed the weapon toward Nick. Nikki reached for Victor's arm. "Don't provoke them." Victor remained calm. "What do you want?" "A confession." Victor's eyes narrowed. "To what?" "To what happened 26 years ago." Nick looked confused. "What are you talking about?" The stranger removed the voice modifier but kept the mask in place. "A man lost everything because of Victor Newman. His business, his family, his reputation." Victor's expression changed slightly. Nikki could hear the shift in his breathing. "You know who this is," she said. Victor did not answer. The intruder continued. "Victor destroyed Adrian Vale and buried the evidence." Nick looked at his father. Who was Adrian Vale? A weak businessman who blamed others for his failures. The intruder raised the weapon higher. "He was my father." Victor finally understood. Dr. Evan Vale." The attacker removed his glasses. Nikki recognized the name immediately. Dr. Vale had been part of the neurological team assigned to her case. He had examined her more than once. He had spoken gently. He had promised to help restore her sight. All the while he had been sabotaging her recovery. Nikki's voice trembled with fury. "You stood beside my bed. Yes, you pretended to care. I cared very much. You drugged me. I needed Victor to watch you suffer." Victor stepped forward. "You come after me, not her. I tried that years ago." Dale's voice cracked with buried rage. "You buried every legal action. You bought every witness. You made sure my father's name became a joke. He stole from his partners. He made mistakes. He destroyed his own company, and you destroyed him publicly." Nikki could hear the hatred in Vale's voice. This wasn't about justice. It was obsession. Nick slowly moved closer to his mother. "Let her go." Dale shook his head. "No one is going anywhere until Victor admits the truth." Victor folded his arms. "You want a confession? Fine. Your father tried to steal Newman technology and I exposed him. You humiliated him. He made his own choices. He died because of you." "No," Victor replied coldly. "He died because he could not live with the consequences of his own actions." Dale's grip tightened around the weapon. Nick whispered to Nikki. "When I tell you, get down." She nodded slightly. But Nikki had another idea. She listened carefully. Vale stood several feet ahead near the stone path. Nick was to her left, Victor was directly in front of her. The fountain ran behind Vale. Nikki could not see him, but she could hear exactly where he was. Dr. Vale, Nikki said. He turned toward her voice. You wanted me frightened. I wanted Victor to feel powerless. You succeeded. Victor glanced back at her. Nikki continued. I woke every morning wondering if I would ever see my family again. I hated myself for needing help. I hated the darkness. Dale's breathing slowed. You understand suffering? Yes, Nikki's voice became firmer, but you made one mistake. What? You thought blindness made me weak. Before anyone could react, Nikki pushed herself out of the wheelchair and threw her body toward the sound of Vale's voice. Victor shouted her name. Nikki struck Vale's arm just as he pulled the trigger. The shot exploded through the garden, striking the stone wall. Nick charged forward and tackled Vale to the ground. The weapon skidded across the path. Victor caught Nikki before she fell. Within seconds, security guards burst through the doors. Chance followed closely behind and placed Vale in handcuffs. Dale struggled violently. You ruined my father. Victor stared down at him. No, you ruined yourself. As Chance led him away, Dale twisted back toward Nikki. You'll never see again. Nikki's face hardened. You don't know that. Vale laughed bitterly. I made sure of it. The words chilled everyone. Chance stopped. What does that mean? Vale said nothing else. He only smiled as officers dragged him from the garden. Nikki remained in Victor's arms, shaking from fear and adrenaline. He held her face between his hands. What were you thinking? I knew where he was. You could have been killed. So could Nick. Victor looked furious, terrified, and proud all at once. Nikki touched his cheek. You told me I could survive anything. That did not mean throwing yourself at an armed man. Nick walked over, catching his breath. She saved us. Victor shook his head. She nearly gave me a heart attack. Nikki smiled weakly. Then we're even. Hours later, Dr. Vale's hidden files were recovered from a private office near the hospital. Claire, Nick, Chance, and the medical team studied everything he had documented. The truth was even more disturbing than they expected. Dale had not permanently damaged Nikki's optic nerves. Instead, he had administered a sequence of experimental drugs designed to interrupt the brain's ability to interpret visual signals. The treatment created the appearance of irreversible blindness while leaving the physical structures of the eye mostly unharmed. The lead neurologist entered Nikki's room carrying the report. Victor immediately stood. What did you find? The doctor looked cautiously hopeful. We believe Dr. Vale's statement was a bluff. Nikki's hands tightened around the blanket, meaning the damage may be reversible. No one breathed. Nikki forced herself to remain calm. You said may. Yes. What would treatment involve? Removing the drug from your system, reducing inflammation, and stimulating the affected pathways. It would be difficult. There are risks. Could I lose what little chance I have? There is always uncertainty. Victor shook his head. We need other opinions. We will get them, Nikki said. He looked at her. You just survived an attack, and I survived being lied to by my own doctor. Nikki, I'm making this decision. The room fell silent. She turned toward the neurologist. What are the odds? 40% that you regain meaningful vision. Nikki swallowed. And the other 60. No significant improvement. Victor sat beside her. That is not enough. It's more than I had yesterday. We can wait. For what? A safer treatment. There may not be one. Victor took her hand. I can't watch you suffer again. Nikki's voice softened. And I can't live wondering whether I was too afraid to try. That night, the Newman family gathered around her. Victoria cried quietly. Claire held Nikki's hand. Nick tried to appear strong. Jack stood near the window, unusually silent. Even Adam arrived, bringing a cup of tea and no sarcastic remarks. Nikki smiled when she heard his voice. You're being very quiet. I didn't think this was the time to cause trouble. That's never stopped you before. A small laugh moved through the room. The sound was exactly what Nikki needed. For the first time since losing her sight, the family wasn't speaking to her as if she were a tragedy. They were simply together. Nikki turned toward Jack. You haven't said anything. I'm trying to respect Victor's territory. Victor grunted. That would be a first. Jack ignored him. Nikki, whatever you decide, you won't face it alone. Thank you. Victor looked annoyed but did not argue. Later, when everyone had left, Nikki and Victor sat quietly. Are you angry with me? She asked. No, that sounded like a lie. I am terrified. Nikki reached out until she found his hand. So am I. Victor lifted her fingers to his lips. You don't have to prove anything. I'm not trying to prove I'm brave. Then why take the risk? Because I want to see you again. Victor closed his eyes. Nikki continued. I want to see the ranch in the morning. I want to see my children's faces. I want to look into a mirror without feeling angry. You are beautiful whether you can see yourself or not. I know, she smiled, but I want the choice. The next morning, Nikki signed the consent forms. The procedure began shortly after sunrise. Victor waited outside the treatment room with the rest of the family. 2 hours passed, then 3. Nobody spoke much. Finally, the neurologist stepped into the corridor. The procedure went as expected. We won't know anything until Nikki wakes up. When she finally regained consciousness, her eyes were covered again. The doctor explained that the bandages would remain for 48 hours. Nikki laughed weakly. Maury waiting. Victor took her hand. You're very good at it. No, I'm not. For 2 days, the Newman family lived between hope and fear. Then the moment came. The same room, the same family, the same careful silence, but this time there was no decorative mirror waiting beside Nikki's bed. Victor had removed every mirror from the room. The doctor loosened the bandages. "Nikki, slowly open your eyes." She did. At first there was darkness. Her heart sank, then something changed. A faint brightness appeared. Not a shape, not a face, only light. Nikki gasped. Victor leaned closer. "What is it?" "I see something." Victoria began crying. "What do you see?" "Light." The doctor held up 2 fingers. "Can you see my hand?" Nikki concentrated. A blurry shape moved in front of her. "I see movement." Nick covered his mouth. Victor stood perfectly still. Nikki turned toward the sound of his breathing. There was a dark outline in front of her. Broad shoulders, silver hair catching the light. She could not see his features clearly, but she knew him. "Victor." His face broke. "You see me?" "Not clearly." Tears filled her eyes. "But I see you." Victor pulled her into his arms. The entire room erupted in relief. The doctor quickly reminded everyone that recovery would take time and there were no guarantees Nikki's vision would fully return. But Nikki did not care. The darkness had finally cracked. Weeks later, Nikki returned to the ranch. Her vision remained blurred, but each day brought small improvements. She could see large shapes, colors, and movement. With therapy, she learned to trust her eyes again. One afternoon, Victoria brought a wrapped box into the living room. "What is it?" Nikki asked. "Something you might be ready for." Nikki opened it carefully. Inside was a new mirror. Her expression changed. Victor immediately frowned. "I told you not to bring mirrors into this house yet." Nikki raised her hand. "It's all right." Victoria positioned the mirror in front of her. Nikki slowly lifted her eyes. The reflection was blurry, imperfect, but it was there. She saw the outline of her own face, her hair, her eyes. Behind her stood Victor, Nick, Victoria, Claire, and the rest of the family. Nikki stared for a long moment, then she smiled. "The last mirror showed me everything I thought I had lost." Victor stepped closer. "And this one," Nikki touched the glass gently, "this one shows me what remained." Her family gathered around her. For once, Victor did not speak. He simply stood beside the woman he loved, watching her reclaim the life someone had tried to steal. Nikki had believed the shattered mirror represented the end of the world. Instead, it became the beginning of something stronger. She had faced the darkness. She had survived betrayal. And now, even though her vision was not perfect, she could finally see the truth clearly. She had never been broken. The mirror,